His life as an undercover FBI agent. One phone call changes everything. He's not your boss. It's not your family. It's a number you've never seen before. You answer, and a voice on the other end says a phrase that will follow you for the next 6 years. We know who you are, and we know what you can become. You're going to join an organization that moves millions. He will win the trust of men who kill without hesitation, and he's going to do all this while hiding who he really is. The problem isn't being discovered by the FBI. The problem is that the deeper you go, the less certain you are of who you really are. That's how it all began. If you enjoy stories about power, survival, and the behind-the-scenes worlds that few people know about, subscribe to the channel. Every week you will live a new life. You are 27 years old, 3 years at the Bureau, no major cases, just reports and surveillance. Your supervisor calls you into a windowless room. There's no coffee. There are no smiles. Just a closed folder on the table. We need someone that nobody knows, he says. Someone without a face in the system. You are that someone. The folder opens. Photos, names, an organizational chart with gaps where the answers should be. A money laundering organization that also moves weapons, drugs, and occasionally people. Nobody can get close. Every agent who attempted this was identified in less than a month. You're not going to come in as an agent. He will enter the scene as Daniel Reyes, an accountant who lost his job and needs money fast. Your new currency starting today is not money. It's not status. It's information. The more you know that others don't know, the more valuable you become, and the more dangerous the place you are in. You sign the papers. No one warns you about what it really means to disappear from who you were. 3 weeks of training, memorizing an entire life that isn't yours, an accent, a fake bank statement, a fictitious ex-wife who died in an accident, so nobody asks too many questions. You learn to walk differently, to pause before answering personal questions, like someone carrying a pain they prefer not to touch. An instructor films you for hours, then plays the video back, pointing out every gesture that is still yours and not Daniel Reyes's. That tick in your hand, he says. You do that when you're really lying. You need to learn to do that all the time, even when you're telling the truth. You practice in front of the mirror until you forget which version is the original. Your first contact is a man named Espinoza. He recruits problem professionals for a network that launders money through restaurants and car washes. You meet in a nearly empty bar. He doesn't ask questions about your past. It tests whether you can lie under pressure. Ask the same question 3 times, in different ways. Where did you work before? Then, how long were you at that company? Then, out of the blue, in the middle of another conversation. And why exactly did they let you go? You always give the same answer, without hesitation, without correcting anything. That's exactly what he wanted to see. A nervous man lies too fast. A trained man lies slowly, as if he were just remembering. He smiles for the first time. Most people freeze at the 3rd question. He says, you didn't even blink. You know you've just passed the first test of many more to come. You start on Monday, he says. You leave the bar and call the number that only you have. Your FBI contact answers on the 2nd ring. I'm in, you say. On the other end, silence for a second. Then, don't trust anyone in there, not even us if things go wrong. You don't understand the weight of that sentence. Not yet. Your first task seems small, carrying a suitcase from a restaurant to an accounting office on the other side of town. You don't know what's inside. Don't ask. But feel the weight. Money. Lots of money. Disguised as routine. Along the way, a car follows you for 6 blocks. Your heart races. You have no weapon. You have no visible backup. Just a hidden radio that may or may not be working. You calculate escape routes in seconds. An open store to the left. An alley to the right. Neither seems good enough. The car turns before reaching its destination. I was just going in the same direction. You release the breath you didn't even realize you were holding. You hand over the suitcase. The man in the office doesn't even look at you. He signs a paper and dismisses you with a wave. You call your contact as soon as you leave. I got the office address, you say, and the name for the signature. Silence on the other end. Then, and that's good. That sounds almost surprised. You just delivered the first real piece of a puzzle that the FBI has been trying to put together for 2 years. Espinoza learns that you delivered on time, without questions, and without errors. The following week, he calls you for another meeting. This time, at the main office. You know Marisol, the woman who controls the numbers of the entire operation. She decides who rises and who falls. She stares at you for longer than necessary. Spinoza said you're discreet, she says. Discreet is rare around here. She opens a spreadsheet on the computer screen and rotates the monitor towards you. Can you read this? She asks. You look at the numbers for 3 seconds and point out an inconsistency that she herself hadn't seen. A duplicate transfer, disguised as 2 different transactions. She frowns, checks, and confirms that you're right. For the first time, she sees you as someone useful, not someone to be tested. It gives you access to a second delivery route. More value, more risk. You're climbing the ladder faster than any agent before you. This should be good news. But each new route means more people who recognize your face, and more people may one day ask where you really came from. That night, your FBI contact informs you of something you didn't already know. There's an informant inside that organization, he says. Someone who already works for us. You ask who. He replies, that's something you'll have to figure out for yourself. 2 weeks later, you notice a pattern. Every time you enter the office, a man named Pharaoh watches you from afar. He never speaks to you directly, but it's always nearby. You mention this to Spinoza, trying to sound casual. Pharaoh is like that with everyone new, he replies. He doesn't trust anyone in the first year. That doesn't reassure you. You start to vary your schedule. You change the route to your car. You check the same mirror 3 times before leaving home. At night, you mentally review every conversation you've ever had with Pharaoh, looking for any slip-up, any word that's out of character. You won't find any. That should reassure you. But men like Pharaoh don't need proof. They only need doubt. One day, Pharaoh finally approaches. You speak Spanish very well for someone who claims to have learned it on their own, he says. You knew this day would come. Your training predicted exactly this question. You tell the right story. A Mexican grandfather, spending the whole summer of my childhood at his house. Iron listens without expression. Then he says something that chills your blood. That's curious, because I searched for his family, and I didn't find any grandfather. Your FBI contact, later that night, confirms what you feared. Pharaoh is Marisol's personal bodyguard, and he investigates anyone who gets too close to the money. He's testing you, your contact says. If he catches you lying, you won't leave this room alive. You realize you need physical proof, something to support the story you told. You ask the bureau to forge a birth certificate in Mexico, linked to a fictitious grandfather with a matching date. 24 hours. That's the time you have before your next meeting with Pharaoh. The document arrives 2 hours before the deadline, delivered by an agent disguised as a food delivery person, in a plain paper bag. Inside, along with the document, was a small note. Don't get the city's name wrong. Pharaoh has visited this registry office before. You memorize every detail before putting it in your wallet. The name of the fictional priest who supposedly baptized your grandfather. The street that no longer exists on the current map, but did exist at the right time. Every little detail that separates a solid lie from one that crumbles under pressure. The next day, Pharaoh asks to see his documents, just for internal records. You deliver without hesitation. He examines every line. Return it without saying anything. You don't know if you passed the test. All you know is that from that day on, Pharaoh never takes his eyes off you again. Marisol invites you to a private meeting. Just you, her, and Spinoza. We need you to do something that only a trusted accountant can do, she says. She wants you to sign, using your own false name, documents that link your fictitious identity to an international account used to launder even larger sums of money. This means one thing. If the operation falls apart, Daniel Reyes falls with it. Legally, financially, no easy escape. Your FBI contact authorizes the signature, but with one condition. Within the same week, you need to gain physical access to the safe containing the original records, the missing piece of evidence that would connect Marisol directly to the top of the chain of command. This means entering a room that only 3 people in the world are authorized to open. You spend the week studying the office routine. Who comes in? Who goes out? When the safe is left unattended, he finds a loophole. At the end of each month, the security guard who looks after the room leaves for a 20-minute break. 20 minutes. You have exactly that much time. You repeat the plan in your head dozens of times, every second counted, every movement rehearsed, like a choreography that cannot fail even once. Your FBI contact reminds you the day before that if anything goes wrong inside that room, no one will be able to intervene in time. You will be completely alone. On the appointed night, you enter using a password you memorized by watching Marisol type it, month after month without her realizing she was being watched. The safe opens. Inside, folders with names that go far beyond what any agent could have ever imagined. You photograph each page with a camera hidden in the watch. In the 18th minute, footsteps approach the hallway. His whole body freezes for half a second. Then the training takes over. You close the safe, reset the password, and exit through the side door. A second before Pharaoh enters the room for a routine check. On the other side of the wall, you hear him open a drawer, check something, and leave again, completely unaware. His heart was still racing 10 minutes later, inside the car, far from the building. You walk to the car with trembling hands but a calm face. You've just obtained the evidence that could bring down the entire organization. At this point, would you have taken such a big risk? Answer in the comments. The photos arrive at the bureau the same night. Weeks of analysis reveal a network connecting the operation to banks in 3 different countries. His supervisor called him personally, something that had never happened before. This could be the biggest money laundering case we've ever solved, he says. But there's a problem. Arresting him now would mean burning his identity and losing the chance to reach the real top. A man no one in the office sees, known only as Mr. Octavio. Marisol answers him, and Octavio answers someone even higher up. You receive orders to continue, level up again. Within the organization, your victory also arrives. Marisol promotes you to International Account Manager. You can now sign off on multi-million-dollar transfers without anyone else needing to review them. Espinoza celebrates with you, proud, as if he had created you from scratch. He tells others, with exaggerated details, how he recruited you, seeing something special, from your first meeting at the bar. You realize that within this story, you are no longer Daniel Reyes, the unemployed accountant. You became a minor legend in that world, someone who rose too fast to be questioned. I told you you were different, he says, raising his glass. You smile, but inside you feel the weight of knowing you're toasting to your own trap. Pharaoh watches the toast from afar without raising his glass. You notice, for the first time, a different spark in his eyes. It's no longer just mistrust. It's something akin to respect. That should put your mind at ease. But someone at their level of access is never easily dismissed. You learn, that same week, that no one who becomes an international account manager ever leaves the organization alive before completing 5 years of service. You've just climbed to the top of a staircase that officially has no exit. That night, looking out the window of the apartment the bureau rented in Daniel Reyes's name, you realize you can no longer separate the pride you feel for the bureau's victory from the pride you feel for having earned Marisol's trust. The two prides should be enemies, but inside you, they start to sound exactly the same. His personal life, his real life, begins to disappear. You miss birthdays. You miss calls from your mother. You lose patience with people who are completely innocent. His girlfriend, who knows nothing about his operation, notices his absences, his silences, his repeated excuses. She asks if you're hiding someone else. You can't tell the truth. You're hiding another whole life. She gives you back a key that you didn't even remember giving her and says calmly that she feels like she's dating someone who only exists in part. She's not wrong. She ends the relationship on a Tuesday without drama. Just out of exhaustion. You can't even say goodbye properly. Bureau protocol. Any intense emotional contact can be tracked, questioned, used against you. At work, Marisol starts treating you like the son she never had. That should be a good thing. But it also means that it brings you closer to decisions that, a year ago, you would never have imagined making. She's asking you to sign for the release of a shipment that, from the photos you took, isn't just money. You ask your FBI contact what to do. It takes 4 hours for the response to arrive. Sign, he says. We need the shipment to leave the country so we can track its final destination. You sign knowing that you are authorizing something that will hurt real people in the name of a greater cause. Marisol watches you sign, completely unaware, and for a moment you feel genuine shame, not for the character but for yourself. Your contact promises that no one will actually get hurt, that there's a parallel operation to intercept everything before it reaches its destination. You want to believe that. You spend the night checking local news, looking for any sign that something went wrong. You find nothing. This should relieve you. Instead, it only increases the feeling that you no longer control the consequences of what you sign. But he begins to realize that he no longer knows clearly where the agent ends and where Daniel Reyes begins. 3 days later, the phone rings in the middle of the night. This is not your FBI contact. It's Iron. Pharaoh asks to meet you alone in a warehouse outside the city. Your instinct screams at you to refuse. But refusing would raise suspicions that you can't afford to create. You are going. Inside the warehouse, Pharaoh is not alone. Marisol is there too, with an expression you've never seen on her before. Fear. Someone leaked information about the shipment, she says. Only 4 people knew the full details. You're one of them. His heart races, but his face remains still. Years of training finally being truly put to the test. Pharaoh places a folder containing surveillance photos on the table. Photos of you, taken from a distance, in places you've visited in the last few months. One of the places is near the building where your FBI contact is located. You feel the ground disappearing beneath your feet. Pharaoh slowly flips through the photos, one by one, as if giving you time to confess before you have to ask. Each of these photos has an innocent explanation. He says, I just need to hear them all. You make up an explanation on the spot. A past relationship in the area. Someone you visit in secret from Marisol out of shame, not betrayal. Pharaoh doesn't seem convinced. Marisol, tired and desperate for quick answers, decides to believe, or pretends to believe because she needs you functioning, not dead. Prove your loyalty, she says. Personally handle the next delivery, alone, no intermediaries. This delivery, you discover later, is not about money. This is the final proof that the organization is also involved in something that goes far beyond money laundering, something the Bureau had been trying to prove for years and never managed to document. You call your FBI contact from a disposable phone at the first opportunity you have, alone in a gas station bathroom. If I refuse, they'll know, you say. If I accept, I become part of something you'll use against me later. Your contact takes a long time to respond. When they do respond, their voice is more serious than ever. Accept it, he says. We'll make sure this protects you, not condemns you. You have no concrete reason to believe that promise, but you have no better choice. You accept the task, not because he wants to, because refusing means being discovered, and being discovered means not going home. You've crossed a line of no return. The worst is yet to come. The delivery goes smoothly. You record everything with hidden equipment and deliver the final missing piece to the Bureau. Weeks later, the FBI executes simultaneous operations in 4 different cities. Marisol is arrested at home, still in her pajamas. Espinoza is arrested in the middle of a meeting, without understanding what is happening until the handcuffs are fastened. Pharaoh disappears before the operation and is never found again. Octavio, the man no one saw, also escapes. A reminder that, even after everything, the true top of the pyramid is still out of reach. You are removed from the operation. In the early hours of the morning, placed under protection and interrogated for hours about every detail of the network you helped to build. During interrogations, you notice something strange. The agents treat you with a mixture of respect and distrust, as if they don't quite know where the line lies between the Daniel Reyes you portrayed and the agent you swore you were before all this began. One of them asks, half jokingly, half seriously, "Can you still remember your real name without thinking?" You take a second longer than you should to respond. If you've made it this far, leave a like. Most people wouldn't survive that situation. The case makes headlines. Arrests, seizures, accounts frozen in 3 countries. You should feel like a hero. But Daniel Reyes, the man you were for 6 years, can't simply disappear overnight. You learn to think like him, to lie like him, to calculate risks like him. Your girlfriend, your old friends, your own mother, they all knew a version of you that no longer fully exists. The Bureau offers you a new identity, a fresh start in another city. You accept it because you have no choice. But he realizes, on his first night alone in his new apartment, that he's spent 6 years learning never to be himself. And now, when you can finally be yourself again, you no longer know who that person is. Months later, walking down a random street in your new city, You hear someone laughing on the other side of the sidewalk, a laugh similar to Spinoza's, and your body reacts before your mind. You turn around, tense, ready for a threat that no longer exists. Nobody is watching you. Nobody is testing you. Nobody is writing down every word you say to use against you later. But your body hasn't learned that yet, and maybe it never will completely. You have gained information, power, and a historic victory for the Bureau. But he paid with the one thing no operation can disguise, his own identity. The cage was never the criminal organization. The cage was the life you had to build in order to destroy it. At what point do you think you crossed the point of no return? Answer in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe. And if you want to live another life inside one of the most dangerous worlds ever created, click on the video that's appearing on the screen right now. The next story is even more intense.